Good morning class 10. Now today our topic is measurement of air pressure. So how is air pressure measured? It is measured by an instrument called barometer. It was Evangelist Torricelli, an Italian mathematician and physicist, who described an experiment with a glass tube about 1 meter long, filled with mercury, and then inverted into a dish filled with mercury, and some of the mercury was drained out as the glass into the tube dish. He explained this by assuming that mercury drains from the glass tube until the force of the volume of mercury is pushed down on the inside of the tube exactly balance the force of atmosphere that is pushing down the surface of the liquid outside the tube on the dish. Today this apparatus is known as barometer because it literally measures the weight of atmosphere. Now we will go to factors that affect atmospheric pressure, as we were studying altitude, temperature, water vapor, Earth's rotation, distribution of lands, and isobars. So starting with altitude, it is a rapid decrease of pressure when we move higher altitudes. The pressure decreases at a rate of 1 inch per 34 millibars for every 300 meters. The lower denser we know is more denser than the upper layers. They are compressed under the weight of upper layers and the atmosphere, and that is why lower layers exert high pressure. Temperature, as the air heats up, it expands and it moves upwards, rises upwards, whereas the cool air, they contracts and becomes heavier, and they descend and capture the places which was left behind by the heated up pressure. Thus, the pressure has an inverse relation with temperature. Water vapor, it is lighter than air, therefore dry air is heavier than wet air, as we know. Due to this reason, land winds are heavier than sea winds, which are laden and water vapor and have water vapor. Earth's rotation, the rotation of the earth, and the centrifugal force extract some influences on air pressure. The drifting air mass from equator, as I have shown you, from the equator, the air mass that moves towards the poles to form poles, and from poles towards the equator to pole, and pole to equator, subside in subtropical region due to the latitudinal variation in the speed of the rotation, thus creating high pressure. When the earth is rotating, the movement of the water is being affected. Distribution of land and water, as we know, the land heats up quickly than the water. So as the land heats up, in the summer gets heated, and hot air or heated air move above, in which expands and rises to create low pressure. So low pressure prevails on land and high pressure on ocean. This reverse condition happens in winter from over land and sea. Moreover, the angle of incidence of sun rays is different in different places, as we have earlier studied on Earth, resulting in difference in temperature, which in turn influence air pressure. Now, what is isobar? These are imaginary lines on the maps that connects areas which have equal pressure, the value of which are reduced to sea level. The distribution of pressure usually shown on the map is with the help of isobars. When isobars are spaced close to each other, they indicate a steep pressure gradient, generally associated with, which is associated with strong. So when they are widely spaced, a gentle, or it means it is gentle or weak. So here, this is weak, this is what was I telling? It was weak and it is strong. Now pressure belts, the pressure belts are equatorial low pressure belt, subtropical low pressure belt, subpolar low pressure belt, and high polar low pressure belt. Equatorial low pressure belt. The equatorial low pressure belt extends from 0 degree to 5 degree in the north and south of the equator. Here the rays are vertical and so intense heating are causing, and due to which the expand of the air and rises of the convection current also happens. Presence of vast expanse of water mass causes air to pick up water. As we know, in these areas there are oceans, so they pick up water. Thus lighter air, which becomes light as we know as heated up, they creates a low pressure. The deflection of the rising air to the north and south of the equator as a result of rotation. Here is no deflection, means the wind cut. When you rotate something in water, you can see the water is being thrown out, so that is known as deflection. Equator, horizontal movement of air or wind is absent in this belt, so this region remains as calm, and so this is known as doldrums. So what is the answer of question arises, what is doldrum? So this is the definition of doldrum. Now next comes the subtropical high pressure belt. These are the two subtropical high pressure belt, one in the southern latitude, one in the northern latitude. High pressure belt prevails between 25 to 35, that means 0 to 25. After that it's equator is there. Here it is 25 to 35. Here the warm rising wind and the moist air from the equator cools down, and here heavy it becomes heavy and sinks in this belt. Sink means in this belt it is getting heavier. The rising air then moves towards the pole, and as a result in filling up the air in the subtropics. The cold winds are forced to descend near 30 to 35 degree latitude. There they now create high pressure as they are cold. As the air descends, it becomes, because as it comes nearer to the earth, it becomes warmer, and its capacity to hold water particles increases, and so there is no condensation or rainfall. For this, large deserts are found in those areas like Sahara, Kalahari, Atacama can be found in this belt only. Now what is horse latitude? This latitude lies between 30 to 35, where it is calm and is frequently known as horse latitude. Why? It is named as horse latitude because it is believed that in earlier days, when sailing was done on ship and trading was done, they used to carry horse from one place to another, that is from Europe to America, North America, and to face problem as there was no wind for sailing the ship, it was difficult for them to move the ship, so they have to throw away their horses down into the sea to make the ship lighter, and with this gesture it is known as horse latitude, and then only the ships would move faster. This they used to do to avoid undue prolonged journey and problems which will arise due to slow movement for food and drinking water also. Next is subtropical pressure belt. There are two subtropical low pressure belt located in the 60 to 70 degree north-south latitude. Here the centrifugal force and the frictional drag which is resulting from the rotation of the earth, displaces the air between 60 to 30 degree latitude and moves it towards the poles on either hemisphere. That means in the southern and in the northern hemisphere. Now what happens here? Here low pressure is developed near the poles. The same air that gets deflected on other way also and sinks in the north and subtropical regions. These belts are completely warmer than the polar belts, so air expands and rises from this belt to both the hemisphere. Last is the polar and a higher pressure belt. As we know, two polar pressure belts are there in the north and the south. This region remains frozen throughout the year, and due to which the cold, dense air and high pressure exist here. The amount of water vapor in the air is also very low and has less moisture holding capacity. Air rising from subtropical region descends directly to the poles due to Earth's rotation.